Hey guys, welcome back to Adventure Camping. Tactical Nut here, and today we're here to talk about the AUOPRO flashlight, so stay tuned. Alright guys, let's go ahead and look in the box and see what you get when you get this flashlight, and then we'll start diving into the specs and what I think about it. When you open the box, as you will see here, you get the flashlight, a USB cable, and a lanyard. This will be the plastic that the flashlight comes in. Now, some of the specs of the flashlight. This is rechargeable, and I love this about this light because this is, I think, a really cool feature. You're just going to unscrew this, and as you can see there's your micro USB port. You do have a O-ring right here, and you just screw it down. It does have a 18650 battery in there. You do have a strike bezel, so as you can see that. The shape is nice. It does not roll much, just because of the shapes that you have right here. These cutouts that you have. It has the knurling here is really smooth, so you're not going to get a really any traction there, but kind of not necessary because you do have a tail switch, and so when you're holding it, it is great to just easily be able to tap the back of it. It has become my preferred method of using a flashlight. I was at a point where I really didn't care, so if I had a tail click and then, you know, adjusting the modes on the side, I really didn't care. But I have found over long periods of times of using a lot of different flashlights that this is just my preferred method now because it's just quick and easy and you're not searching around for other buttons on it. So that is a huge bonus. The specs on it, I will show you this right here. This little instruction manual. It does go up to 800 lumens. It says that on the website. In here, it's just going to give you percentages as to your run times and brightness levels. So on high, which is your 800 lumens, you get 3.5 hours. 60% is your mid for 5 hours. Low is 20% for 15 hours. And your lower, or like we like to call your Firefly Mode, 5% mode for 60 hours. And it is a really good low. It's kind of bright, you know, compared to some other flashlights, but it's definitely a really good one. It's not going to blind you, lose your night vision when you're using it at night, out in the woods or around your house. You do have a beam throw of 250 meters. It is IP67 waterproof and drop proof up to 1.5 meters. And in case you're the type of, you know, flashlightaholic like I'm becoming, the LED in it is the XPG2 S3. And it does take about 4 hours to charge it from fully drained. One thing that you will see is right here is a little light, so when you have it plugged in, it will be red at first, of course, when it's not charged, and then goes green when it is ready to go. It does have a memory function. I do love this part because I've used a bunch of different flashlights, and sometimes some flashlights start in the high mode, some in the mid, some in the low. For me personally, I want flashlights that always turn on in the low mode, or at least have the memory function to be able to start back in the low mode after I turned it off. That way, when especially you're out camping and hiking and stuff like that, there's, to me, I won't say nothing worse, but it does suck to turn on a flashlight that you forgot was in high mode, and end up blinding yourself because of it. So typically what I always do is right before I'm getting ready to turn it off, if I had it in a higher mode, I pop it back down to low, so that way when I turn it off, I know that's where it's going to go. Pocket clip is good. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. However, the other day, of course, I'm in the process of selling my car, and when I was getting out, I had to get really close to the car and did scratch the side of it. Not the fault of the flashlight, because as you can see, that doesn't stick out very far, but my close was just really close to something else, and so I didn't have a lot of room to get out, so more my fault. Let me just get it down into low so we can run through it. All right, so you got your low mode. Or that's the low mode. Then we go up. I can't see what it's doing. All right, and then for a double click, you get a strobe. Let me see. There's strobe. It's a slower strobe, but it still works fairly well, so definitely not too disappointed with it. And then when you click it again, it's just going to go back into the mode that it was in before. So what we're going to do now is we'll wait for dark to come, and then I will show you the brightness levels of each one, and then of course a better view of what the strobe would be like. And so, all right, stay tuned. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, so what you're looking at right now is the lowest beam. As you can tell, it has a very good solid center, very clear focused beam. What you cannot see, at least as far as I can tell on the camera, the outer beam goes all the way up to this part of the roof, all the way down to the ground. If I'm holding it in the center, where you see right here, there would be the middle of a window. So kind of give you some perspective here. Then you get the high beam. So as you can see, really, really bright. So now you kind of get a better perspective as to how wide this beam is. So a larger focused beam. In the camera you see a slightly larger outer beam, and then there, of course, there's a even larger one that still goes about the same distance as the one that I mentioned before, but then you step down to the next lowest, and then the almost, you would call it the Firefly mode, but it's the lowest beam that it has. To kind of give you more perspective, here's some trees on the side of my house. This is the lowest beam, stepping up to the high beam. So yes, my tree, in case you've been watching the other channels, is still leaning. I'm trying to fix that tomorrow, this weekend. But there's 3 trees right here, 3 big spruce trees, and I don't know, each one is probably about 10-15 feet wide. The beam actually makes it to the outside of all 3 for the outer beam. So of course then you got the focus beam in the middle. We step it down, and then you got that. So then we go up higher, or I mean lower, to the lowest beam. On the screen I can't tell anything from there, but go back to the wall here. And then you do the strobe, so strobe warning. Now, as you can tell, it's a little slower than some flashlights, but about the same maybe as some others. Definitely effective enough if you were on the receiving end of that it would be quite disorienting. And of course, with the strike bezel at the end of it, you have 2 means of self-defense if you needed to use it for such, you know, striking with the flashlight itself and or blinding the person in front of you so that it gives you time to get away or to prepare for anything else that you may need. So let me get on the other side of the camera, turn on my headlamp so you can see me a little better. All right, so who's this good for? What's it for? Who needs it? Why am I telling you about it? Well, this is a great EDC light. I will tell you that in a heartbeat. I've been using it, like I said, for about, I think about 2 weeks. So anything you need to do around the house, it's absolutely perfect for. The low beams are pretty much the only modes that I ever use. I very rarely use the high beam. And the reason for that is because, I mean, for years being out in the woods, I can tell you, I've said it in all my videos, I will have always said it, will always continue to say it. 200 lumens will pretty much get done anything you absolutely need to get done. That is a lot of light in the middle of the night when your eyes have adjusted to the darkness. Now, that being said, if you're military, law enforcement, search and rescue, higher outputs are probably necessary. I haven't been in those fields, so I can't tell you, but I would assume. Now, having the 800 lumens at a good budget price point is an awesome find that I will take anytime I can get it. The extra light is always nice. Even though it may drain your battery a little faster, it will help you find things and do things at night that the lower beams might not be as easy as getting things done. Now, the low beams around camp, I mean, literally the lowest in the first 2 levels are pretty much the ones I only use because I can be in my tent, I can be in my hammock, I can be around camp, and I can see everything that I need to. And then, of course, in the house when I'm going to bed at night, I use the low beam so I'm not waking, you know, the family up as I'm moving around the house. So lots of uses. I mean, you've got EDC, outdoors, and then of course self-defense if absolutely necessary. The pocket clip, like I mentioned earlier, works fantastic. I have no issues with it. It seems to be pretty durable so far. If anything changes, I will definitely update you. But definitely a good time of the year. I mean, fall is coming. It may have hit already in some places, but so the light is going to start or having less and less daylight each day. So good to have a good flashlight on you. And of course, I love 18650 batteries because you get a long life out of them. You get high outputs out of them, and they are just 100% my preferred battery for any kind of flashlight. All right, guys, hopefully this will help you in finding a flashlight for yourself. The AUOPRO, hopefully you can see it in here. And I will leave in the description and I'll leave a link in the description below. All right, guys, in the meantime, be prepared, have fun.